All right, everybody, this is the Western Rookie Podcast. Hopefully everybody is having a good week. Sorry for the delay in getting an episode out last week. I had a little bit of a family issue that we were trying to wrangle, and we got it done, and we're back. And today's guest is Mr. Ben Dettamanti. Ben, how we doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Did I say your name right?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Dude, I don't know why. And please don't take this the wrong way, but your name sounds like your last name sounds like an expensive Italian dish. So
yeah, that's the best compliment anybody could give.
So envision, I want you to envision if someone said, "I'll take the Dettamanti." What does that look like on a plate for you?
It's got to be like, there's got to be beef involved for sure.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be definitely something on the Italian flair, maybe with some like gorgonzola on top. I don't know. It's going to be fancy. It's going to be the most expensive thing on the menu, and you're going to love it.
The Johnson. How boring of a dish is the Johnson? It's probably just a hot dog with mustard on it.
My middle name is Johnson.
No shit.
Yeah. My name's Benjamin Johnson Dettamanti.
And it's not like a hyphenated last name, like
no. That's my mom's maiden name, and my youngest kid, that's his middle name too. So Johnson's a big family name for us too. We're in the same boat,
dude. But his first name is Johnson.
His middle name is Johnson.
Oh, middle name is Johnson. That's crazy. Yep. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's just a family name we've had passed down forever.
Dude, I tell you what. Your badassness has elevated in my book now, just because of your name alone. Yeah. I love it. Dude, what's good? Man, you've been on this podcast before, I believe, but it's been a while. You've been on the Nine Finger Chronicles, but it's been a while. What's rocking and rolling in your life, man?
Yeah, just kind of like cruising along, doing the same thing. Like, I think when we did the Nine Finger, I was just starting out as a shed hunter. It's been forever. I was just starting to make content, and I had just quit my job. And we just hit year 9 of full-time social media, shed hunting, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So just plugging along, man, adapting as things change, and still just having fun with it.
Yeah, man. That's the crazy part. 9 years, right? You've done it 9. I've done the podcasting thing just a little bit over 10 now. And it's like, how I look at me, I'm not going to speak for you, but I look at it as like, how did I make it to this? Because I just don't look. If you were to write down, put me on a piece of paper, you would be like, okay, this guy's working at a gas station or something, like, you know what I mean? Like nothing against those guys, but it's just like, this guy does not have the skill set to do what he's currently doing.
Yeah. Totally, man. I feel that way all the time too. Like, but this whole industry is made up of normal guys who just tried something and stuck with it. Right. So, I was a custodian at a high school when I quit. So it's just, none of us came from some extraordinary background, or we're not like crazy people or whatever. It's just something that I think most guys that do what we do just don't quit.
Yeah, that's a fact. Probably by default. And the reason we're here is because we just keep moving forward, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, nothing to go back to.
Exactly. And we've been there. So, oh boy, it fails. Like, I'm just going to be doing the same thing that I was before. Right. So I like that vibe. I have a lot of questions to ask you about the West. You live in Utah, right?
Correct. Yep.
Correct. Okay. So you're a resident of Utah. I got a lot of Western themed questions that I want to ask you today regarding, you're big into shed hunting. I want to talk to you a little bit about the resident, non-resident vibe out West and what your opinions are on that. But before we get into that, I'm just going to send a huge shout out to our partners of the Western Rookie Podcast. And the first one is Wasp Broadhead. So if you're looking for a broadhead that a majority of their broadheads are still manufactured in the United States, they have a complete lineup of fixed blades and mechanicals that are good for any type of species, from the biggest moose down to antelope and smaller. Go check out wasparchery.com, discount code NFC20 for 20% off. Next on the list is Montana Decoy. These guys offer a variety of have elk, antelope, mule deer, whitetail. I mean, they even got the big cows. Uh, very high definition print on these, and they can pack down real tight and small, and you can throw them in a backpack as well. So go check out montanadecoy.com for all your decoy needs. Ben, um, my first question is to you, like, why shed hunting? Why, where's the passion with shed hunting for you? When did that start?
I started getting into it. I mean, probably when I was in high school. Really, I had my brother-in-law. I was just an avid shed hunter, and they would go and I'd see all these antlers they'd bring back. You know, talking the
Yeah.
early 2000s, late 90s, and I just thought they were cool. Just thought antlers were cool. I've always been obsessed with hunting,
Yeah.
and for me in the beginning, it was really about getting to go to premium units, getting to learn those units, getting to pursue in a way bigger animals, trophy animals, because with the way the draw system is in Utah, you're going to have a couple premium tags in your lifetime. So I just would rather, be there and participate in the way that I could at the time. I also couldn't afford to travel out of state to hunt much. So I was just
Yeah.
trying to scratch the itch for hunting, really.
Yeah. Yeah. You used the word premium there. Like, what's
Mhm.
the difference in your opinion versus a premium unit and just an average unit?
Well, Utah's broken down into general and what are considered premium or limited entry hunts.
Mhm.
So the difference being there's two different, sets of preference points, two different drawings. In Utah, we have general deer units and we have limited entry deer units, and then we have general elk units and limited entry. So if you draw a limited entry bull tag, the idea is that you're getting to hunt an area with a lot higher density, a lot better trophy potential. And for most people, if you're trying to draw rifle tags, especially,
Mhm.
like it's going to be one or two of those tags in your lifetime. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. When it comes to like being able to shed hunt, I've heard um, guys go, okay, well, if you get the opportunity to go out and scout, or even during the shed hunting season, before you go out and actually hunt a said unit, you might get a little bit better of an idea of where the animals are. Is that something that has helped you in the past, going into a unit that you have hunted or you plan on hunting in the future, and locating sheds that have then been able to like give you information about where these animals live, how, like, what caliber of animals to go after, that kind of stuff that have helped you in the fall?
Yeah, definitely. But it's mostly like I said, I'm hunting units that I'm not going to have tags for. So, but
Yeah.
maybe you have a friend that draws. One example is my buddy Eric drew a late rifle tag in a unit that I really like to shed hunt. And so that transferred over a lot in knowing where those bulls were going to be as they're kind of preparing to shed.
Yeah.
And then it also helps too to be able to like look at an animal in the glass and try to guess what you think it is and what it scores, and then
Yeah.
go put your hands on that antler and be able to know
Okay.
what he actually was, because it's pretty easy to misjudge them. Sometimes they're a lot bigger than you think. Sometimes, usually the opposite. You'll think,
Yeah.
oh man, that's a real stud, and then you go pick it up. You're like, oh, he's just got a small body, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's all good intel. And then I think even if you're not hunting that exact unit, the knowledge transfers over to other units. You kind of just learn what they're eating that time of year, the kind of cover they're seeking, where their bedding is, what factors kind of hold them in an area.
Yeah. Do you notice, like, because we hear the word migration, or even something smaller as like a summering grounds and a wintering grounds for animals. Is that noticeable where in Utah, where mule deer are in one spot during the winter and then a completely another spot during the spring, summer?
Yeah. Yep. That's very normal around here on an average snow year.
Yeah.
The deer typically will go, the bulk of the deer will go high elevation to, be in velvet where they can be out of the thick stuff up on those high faces, and they'll be in their bachelor groups up there. And then as they shed their velvet, as they kind of get ready to rut, they disperse a little bit, but they
Hmm.
do migrate and kind of congregate onto lower elevation stuff. They chase some of that brushier feed that's found at lower elevations, and they try to get out of the snow. The elk are a lot more kind of impervious to the snow, but the deer definitely push down, and they'll be down where they can get on that green grass as soon as it starts to pop up in the spring.
Yeah. From a shed hunting standpoint, what does heavy snow versus All right, like harsh winter versus mild winter do to like finding sheds or locating animals?
They definitely concentrate them. A heavy winter will concentrate the deer and the elk because I mean, it just becomes a feed availability thing.
Hmm.
A lot of times, too, the elk will stay at higher elevations, but they'll get snowed in on a hillside to
Hmm.
where you may be able to leave, but maybe not. And then if that's the case, they'll typically all the bulls will just drop kind of right there.
Yeah.
So that's good for sheds.
Yeah. Have you ever ran into a pocket like that where you step on a mountainside and you're like just scooping antler after antler after antler?
Oh yeah, those are the
Yeah,
best. Like
those
I
are the
think on the
best.
Nevada opener, a few years ago, I hit a little pocket. It was a heavy snow year, and I got up into this little draw that had kind of been, the south face was open, and the north face had kind of melted off, but it was significant snowpack all the way around. I think I picked up 18 on
Yeah.
just a small south face, and a lot of fresh, a lot of previous years off of bulls too.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, that was my favorite year in Iowa. I had a year where it snowed and the snow stayed on the ground
Hmm.
until and it was on a field where there was a little bit of standing corn, and I walked in there like a week after a really big warm front, so all the grass is flat, and
Hmm.
I just 45-minute walk turned into like 14 shed antlers, and I was fucking
Sweet.
jacked. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was pumped about that. Now, one thing that the West has, and I've heard you talk about this before, and I would love for you to elaborate on this a little bit. Um, Shed seasons. Like
Hmm.
for a Midwesterner, I'm like, dude, if I want to go look at for sheds, I can go look at sheds right now. I can go
Yeah.
whenever I want. But you guys have actual seasons and
Yeah.
rules and regulations on when you can and cannot go look for shed antlers.
In some states in the West, yeah, we do. Utah's done seasonal closures in the past. They don't have one in effect right now, especially like on a
Yeah,
snow year like this. I mean, we don't have any snow.
yeah,
So, Nevada has one that's annual every year. Idaho, Wyoming both have areas that are closed seasonally.
yeah,
New Mexico just instated a paid shed license for non-residents only, which is crazy.
yeah,
Um, and so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that going on here in the West. Colorado has one as well.
yeah. And so I've heard you talk about this before, but there's some discrepancies there, right? That just don't make sense,
Yeah.
right? Talk
Yeah,
talk to us a
totally.
little. Talk to us about that.
What I don't like about it is the fact that they don't really have any science to say that shed hunting harms wildlife, right?
Right.
So if you're out there hiking during that time of year, yeah, it stands to reason that if you're pushing heavily pressured or elk that are in deep snow, like, yeah, it's going to take a toll on them. It's going to be taxing on them. I
Yeah,
don't really believe that shed hunters do that because it's not an effective way to shed hunt. Like
yeah,
the least effective thing you can do is bump the elk. Like the best case
right.
scenario is you leave them where they're at. You let them drop. That's your best chance of getting their antlers.
Yeah.
I also think it's weird that like a lot of these states allow mountain lion hunting, they allow cow elk hunting, even that overlaps the shed season. So you can actually go
Hmm.
shoot elk, but you can't go try to pick up their sheds.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of weird inconsistencies, and especially like states like Nevada where there's not significant snowpack. They don't have high winter kill. It's desert
Hmm.
regions. Like it doesn't hurt anything to have people out there hiking around shed hunting. I don't care what they say. It doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah. And at the same time, the second you call yourself a shed hunter, then it becomes illegal. Like a guy
Yeah.
riding a four wheeler or his horse or snowmobiling or something like that. It's okay to do that. Correct?
Yeah, that's wild to me. Like
Yeah.
they can't. I mean, they feel like they can, I guess, legislate or whatever, enforce your intentions, which I think is so
Yeah.
stupid. The whole
Right.
thing is stupid. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I have to. I mean, I obey all those things. This is what I do for a living. But if I
Yeah.
was just an average Joe out there, man, like I don't know that I would pay attention to it at all. And a lot of guys
Yeah.
don't. A lot of guys are just
Right.
like, who cares? It's a small ticket if you get caught. So there's tons of guys out there hitting it. I swear there's as many boot tracks when you go out on the opener as there would have been if it had not
Yeah.
been shut down.
Yeah. And that just, I mean, I hate to say it, like guys like us, we got to follow the rule to a T
Yeah,
no matter
100%.
what, even when it's detrimental to what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, it's not so much in just the hunting world, because obviously rules and regulations are put in place for a reason, but shed hunting just seems a bit ridiculous.
It is, man. It's dumb. And it's like you said, people think that like, oh, people who do what we do for a living are pressured to go out and
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to get that. But the reality is most guys I know that do this for a living are so paranoid that they
Oh yeah.
walk a way finer line than the average
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to switch topics off shed hunting for a bit. And one thing that I have noticed on social media, even there's like this one thing. The reason I wanted to talk to you about this is the conversation that's being had about residents of Western states. The one that comes to the mind the most is Montana, because there is some legislation that's getting, or there's a couple of politicians that are really supporting a couple rules and regulations supporting like resident firsts, like the
Mm-hmm.
resident hunters first, meaning take
Yeah.
care of them first, and then the non-residents second. What's the vibe out there on the western hunting, on the resident? I don't want to say verse, but that's almost kind of what it is, like the residents
Uh-huh.
versus non-resident, and hunting tags and allocations and things like that.
Well, it depends. Like in when I go to those states and hunt, I've never had an issue with anybody telling me, well, I maybe a couple small issues with people saying I shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it's online and most of it's people talking, but there is a negative vibe out there. I've seen it voiced in a lot of states.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, I mean, New Mexico is kind of one that you hear it a lot in because the draw system is a true lottery in the state of
Mm-hmm.
New Mexico. And so there's residents there who are missing out. They're not drawing tags because it's getting harder over time. And I don't know why they put that at the feet of non-residents, because we're in a totally different pool than they are.
Mm-hmm.
But they just, then what also happens there is you have this entire landowner tag program
Oh yeah.
where New Mexico allocates a ton of tags to landowners who can then sell them to non-residents.
Yeah.
So the result is a whole bunch of non-residents on the hill, and then residents seeing the non-residents and not being able to get tags. So this frustration builds up. I understand the frustration.
Yeah.
Everybody wants tags, right? But those tags are also available to residents. A resident can buy a landowner tag. So it just comes down to like, who's going to pay for it? And yeah, the odds are that somebody who's not living in small town New Mexico is going to have $5,000 or $6,000 to spend on an elk tag. So I understand the frustration that's there, but by the same time, um, I mean, a non-resident in New Mexico puts like 6 times as much money into the system as a resident. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at the amount of hunters from out of state that come to New Mexico, I just read an article in New Mexico Magazine that said it's something like $220 million a year that are spent on accommodations, guides, outfitters, tags, licenses by
Mm-hmm.
non-resident hunters in the state of New Mexico, hunters and anglers in the state of New Mexico every year.
Yeah.
So like, it's hard to step back and look at it from the funding standpoint when you don't have an elk tag and you see a guy from Utah shooting elk on the unit you like to hunt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get the frustration, but that's just the game as it is.
Yeah. And I think the this is the same situation that happens in every state across North America. Is it seems like it's not necessarily about the non-resident, it's about the guy who has the biggest disposable income,
Yeah.
right? And so I can walk into New Mexico or any state that offers landowners tags, and I can buy one. And if I'm
Uh-huh.
rich, I can buy, the most expensive one in the best units, or something like that. And a non-resident goes, dude, I've been trying to get this tag for X number of years and I can't
Yeah.
get it. And now I can understand why the residents would be pissed. Do you see a better way of doing it? Is there other options out there to where, like, you can make most people happy? Because I get it. Like, I'm from Iowa, and
Mhm.
everybody wants to bow hunt Iowa whitetails.
Right.
And
Yep.
there's a lot of information about, like, southern Iowa is the place to be. Northern Iowa is all cornfields and ag, right?
Uh-huh.
There's not the cover like there is in southern Iowa. So that reduces it even yet. And then you have no public land in Iowa, which reduces it even more. And then the fact
Uh-huh.
that non-residents are buying all the land around, making access limited. So that's a whole nother, like, little caveat to this story. But do you see a better way of doing it?
I mean, there's not an obvious one for sure.
Yeah.
Like one option is you could take all the landowner tags that are allocated, and you could put them to a draw system, a
Hmm.
landowner draw system. You could cap the price on them if you wanted. I
Hmm.
think that would, I don't think it would incentivize landowners to participate. The reason that they're participating now is because they can get good money out of their elk tags. And if
Yeah.
you knocked it down to where they just cost the same as a normal elk tag, and a landowner, has to deal with the whole process of applying for those tags, getting those tags, and offering them up, and then they only got like, $1,000 total out of them for a non-resident tag.
Hmm.
I just don't think that most landowners are going to waste their time doing it. They'd have to have 20 tags to make enough money to justify doing it. So
Yeah.
I don't see like necessarily a better option. I don't know. I don't, it's a tough equation.
Yeah. What about outfitters? Because in certain states, outfitters get additional tags as well. And
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
something where I don't understand why that's a thing.
Yeah. New Mexico does have an outfitter draw as well. So if you apply through an outfitter in New Mexico, it does bump you into a different pool and you have better odds of applying. That's another thing that I think non-residents don't like.
Yeah.
Um, but once again, they're still coming from the non-resident pool of tags.
Yeah.
So you can get in the outfitter draw. You have to hire an outfitter and have a signed like a contract with an outfitter to be in that draw. But a lot of those outfitters now, in fact, most of them I know aren't really counting on their clients drawing tags. They just put them in for the draw, and then they have landowner tags as a backup. So
Yeah.
the whole system is really tied to those landowner tags, and I think that's where most of the frustration I see online is people voicing discontent with landowner tags.
Yeah. And it's residents who are not getting the tags that maybe they used to get.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
lot of it too, as point creep well, it's not point creep in New Mexico because it's a true lottery, but like
Yeah.
in a lot of these states, it's point creep, tags that were every year tags now. People feel like, oh, they can't draw them every 3 years now. And we've seen that happen across the board. We've seen it happen in Arizona. It's happening on the Utah General. You used to be able to draw a general tag in Utah every year. And now it's
Yeah.
like a lot of them are 3 and 4 point rifle tags.
Yeah. And is that because more non-residents are applying for this? Because I look at it and I go, one thing that I looked at a while ago was where people are moving and
Hmm.
where people are moving out of, right? And so, like a state like Colorado, people are moving into that state at a
Hmm.
pretty big clip, whether they're hunters or not. I'm guessing some of them are hunters. Okay,
Yeah.
and so I can understand more resident tags, like it being harder to get a resident tag, but
Hmm.
it also has been harder for non-residents to get tags
Yeah.
because um, a lot of their units have gone from over the counter to a preference point system now.
Right.
So I'm just trying to find out, like, one thing that I've been trying to locate is where residents are getting the most pissed at. Is it because
Yeah.
they're not getting a tag, or is it because they're actually going out to a unit where they've had a honey hole their whole life and now someone's found it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination because
Yeah.
mule their numbers in the West, at least in Utah, they're kind of like low. And
Hmm.
the tags in Utah haven't really been increasing. They kind of move them around and keep numbers the same. Like they'll cut them on one unit and give more in another one, which I mean,
Yeah.
that's management. But I just think that the amount of people applying will always continue to increase. To me, that's just like a symptom of the internet, right?
Right.
The fact that you can apply online through a state agency instead of having to do a paper application, the fact
Hmm.
that you can use an application service, you can plug in your information and pay them to apply for you, the
Yeah.
fact that the state will send you an email reminder that says, hey, time to put in, time to put in. The fact they'll
Yeah.
save your login, they'll save your credit card number. The convenience aspect of it, I think, is the biggest reason that these draws are getting
Bingo.
flooded. Like it
Yeah.
comes down to just, it's so easy now to hunt out of state. I mean, you can plug Google Maps in your phone and drive across the country. Your truck gets good gas mileage now. There's an Airbnb you can stay at with a cabin.
Hmm.
Like all the technology in general has made the process so much more streamlined that, like, I mean, even 20 years ago, if
Yeah.
you wanted to go, say a guy like me wants to go to the Midwest to hunt, basically got to call the agency and figure out how to get a tag.
Hmm.
And I mean, the footwork is so much greater. Scouting, being able to like look at a map and say who owns what public can I hunt,
Yeah.
where before you would have had to have a paper map. I mean, this is kind of like a sticking point, like a podium that I'll preach off of. Everybody wants to blame people for popularizing hunting
Yeah.
when it's such a drop in the barrel of the things that actually affect people being able to to apply and get tags and travel to hunt these states. Like it's literally nothing compared to the technology.
Yeah. So, what you're getting at is that the ease of getting a tag, or not necessarily getting the tag, but applying for the tag has
Mm-hmm.
become way easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
total the ease of it, and then also like the fact that so like Arizona over the counter deer is a good example, right?
Yeah.
It's been over the counter, but you used to have to drive to Arizona, buy a tag, and hunt it. So most
Hmm.
people would be like, "Oh, I want to do that," but if there's not a draw deadline, they're not really going to set aside the time. At some point, they
Hmm.
might be like, "Oh, I could go this week. I'm going to go." But now, if you make it a draw, then everyone will say, "Oh, I'll put in this day." So they'll have an application reminder. They'll all
Hmm.
apply, and if they draw the tag and they've already bought the tag, they're going to go.
Hmm.
So in the past, it was like a casual thing where you're like, yeah, maybe I'll run out there and pick up a tag and hunt. Now it's like, oh, I'm going to put in, if I draw, I'm going.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing out there is I hear mule deer is a perfect example of this. Is for years now, you've heard people talk, whether it's biologists or just hunters out there, talk about the reduction of the mule deer herd out west due to whatever, whether it's EHD, whether it's increased cattle operation, whether it's winter kill, you name it. It's one of those species that seems to be struggling right now in certain areas. Um, but then you don't see a change in the tag allocations.
Mm.
Like still the same. It's still the same. Do you get a vibe that that's affecting the mule deer population out there? That tags should be reduced because of lower numbers or anything like that?
I mean, it's hard. It's kind of on a unit by unit basis. Like, I
Right.
think there are units where they're giving too much tags. And I do feel like the division kind of utilizes some units as
Hmm.
opportunity units that are going to be easier to draw. They'll give more tags on. And then they kind of hold some of them back to be like better quality deer units, maybe the units with lower deer density.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like them. I don't know. I don't feel like the tag numbers affect it all that much. The
Yeah.
drought is a way bigger deal.
Yeah.
Uh, the quality of the feed in the range is a bigger deal. The timing of the storms is a bigger deal. Like if you get
Yeah.
those late spring heavy snows, they just kill a ton of deer.
Yeah.
Predators, are also a bigger deal. Utah's been super aggressive with predator management, like the most
Hmm.
aggressive state. And then I mean vehicle collisions. There's so many things that affect it. When you
Yeah.
look at the tag numbers and the people shooting deer, yeah, it affects it. But I mean, I think it's just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. Um, as you've been, let's say, let's just stick to Utah because you've been a Utah resident your whole life. Um, how has the quality of your hunting changed over the course of since you've been hunting to today?
It's fluctuated pretty largely. When I was a kid, when I first started hunting, I think the first year I hunted deer in Utah was like 2000,
Hmm.
and it was pretty tough to find a buck. A lot of that was the way we were hunting and the style of hunting
Yeah.
at the time. But I ended up killing a lot of smaller deer through my younger years, like most guys do. But I mean, you could pretty much run up on the mountain and find a buck and shoot it. Um, I think probably around 2010 we started getting really serious about trying to kill these bigger deer on one of
Hmm.
my units that I love, and the quality of bucks at that time was significantly better.
Yeah.
Like
What led
we
up to that?
had I don't know if it was just easy winners.
Yeah.
I think we were kind of at that tipping point too where like your average guy was just out there with a pair of binoculars and a rifle and a scope. There wasn't things like thermals yet. There wasn't things like, I mean, the trail camera craze hadn't really kicked off. And around 2020 in Utah, I think it really like kind of started to peak. And that was when baiting was legal. Um, Trail cameras were legal, and we'd had, some good water years and stuff. And like we, between 2010 and 2020, like it was just a lot easier to find a big mature buck in Utah.
Yeah.
And the last 10 to 15 years, it's just gotten kind of worse and worse and worse. And I don't know if I attribute that to drought or the mountain lions or people shooting small deer. A lot of people want to scream that it's management. I think it's
Hmm.
more drought related.
Yeah. Man, that's something crazy I hear everywhere I go. All right. So I haven't hunted mule deer in the Rockies at all, but I've
Mhm.
hunted mule deer in Nebraska and South Dakota. Okay. And that's a different environment. But what I'm getting at is the way ranchers talk about um, mountain lions, there should be, you should be seeing 2 or 3 mountain lions every time you go out
Yeah.
on a glassing knob, right? Do you guys have the same conversations out there with ranchers? Like, are they just, oh, dude, mountain lions? I used to see a whole bunch of mule deer, but the mountain lions, dragging them, killing them, all of them.
Yeah, that's definitely like a consensus, whether it's true or flawed or what. Like people
Yeah,
think it's the lions, and I mean, Utah has open season on mountain lions. I think we might be
yeah,
the only state, but I mean, I think growing up in Utah, I saw like 3 or 4 my whole life.
yeah,
There's lions around. I mean, that weren't in a tree with hounds, right?
right.
So I don't think that there's that many, but that's definitely the narrative.
Yeah, yeah. What are some other impacts that you feel you've seen in regards to your overall hunting experience? You know, because obviously, for me, when I was 20, I had a worse experience than I do today, just because I know more about the animals. I've
Uh-huh.
been successful more times, things like that. What about you?
I think that with what I know now about finding big mule deer, I can
Mm,
find big deer.
yeah,
I probably won't find 6. I'll probably find one that I really want to hunt.
yeah,
Um, but I just think that, yeah, I wish I had all those opportunities back that I had when I was like
yeah,
23, 24 years old, man. I missed some giant deer. I screwed it up on some great bulls on the over the counter units. I mean, stuff I should have
yeah,
killed. And I just wish if I had those chances again, I could just could get them.
yeah. I feel that. What about the ranchers? Um, I've had some really good encounters with some ranchers who are very nice. They let me, like, for example, this year in South Dakota, I saw a guy out working. I stopped in. I said, "Hey, man, can I just cross your fence, walk this 1/4 mile through your property to get to public because of the ease of use?" And he's like, "Yeah, go for it, man. No big deal." Very nice. And then on the other side, I've had, do not look at my property. I'll call
Hmm.
the DNR. I mean, I've had conversations where it was implied that I won't have any, if you park your truck here, you won't have any full tires when
Yeah,
they're all going to be flat when you get back, that kind of shit. Right.
yeah.
And so has that vibe changed over the years with the guys who work the land there?
Um, where I live, it's like if you're in our community, like the farmers are super cool, right?
Yeah.
Like I live in an agriculture area. I mean, there's hay fields right behind my house. Everything around me is corn and hay.
Yeah.
And yeah, they'll let me hunt anything that I want to hunt because they're
Yeah.
my buddies. Um, I don't know. I don't think Utah is as tough of a private land state, at least where I live. There is
Yeah.
a large section right here where like we have obtained shed hunting permission in the past, and
Hmm.
they're pretty strict. Definitely on the hunting side, they're strict. Like
Yeah.
everybody drives through them. Like there's some deeded access through them. But if you get caught shed hunting without permission, you're for sure getting prosecuted. Like it's one of
Yeah.
those deals. But I just haven't noticed. Like I think Colorado is is the place I've had most encounters like that with landowners where they're like so fed up with people trying to hunt their 12 acres
Yeah.
or trying to shoot a buck that crossed into their one hayfield that they get
Mhm.
really like defensive about it, and probably rightfully so in a lot of cases. But my
Yeah.
family, like we raise beef. We have a few different pieces of private property. One of them is a really good duck hunting piece, has a big standing like a slough on it. And we let people duck hunt it all the time. Anybody who calls us, like really, we don't really
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always felt like, I've had the conversations in the past where guys would, ever since the birth of Onyx and other
Hmm.
digital mapping type things where you definitely know if you're crossing a line or not. Like,
Right.
I feel like since that, the landowners have been, and the ranchers and whoever's, out there, it's been less lenient with any type of navigation because it's in your pocket now. Like if
Right. Yeah,
you're
you know where you're
probably
at.
lying. Yeah, you're probably lying to them if you say, "Oh, I'm lost. Right? I didn't
Yeah.
know." Especially if there's a fence line there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if it's posted.
Yeah, exactly. Um, is knock on door in your best guess, is knock on door permission for non-residents fading out west, do you think?
Yeah, I think that you're likely to encounter a landowner who wants to keep it for the locals. Like, I think that
Yeah.
would be pretty normal around here, and I think that's just kind of an overall sentiment that's existed
Hmm.
in Utah since since as young as I could remember. I heard people talking about the stupid Californians who come up here and shoot at everything that moves, and
Yeah.
shoot little bucks and shoot more bucks than they're supposed to and go home. Like that was always everybody state has their people, right?
Yep.
Utah was always hated on Californians or people from
Yep.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that if you were maybe I don't know if you're from the Midwest and you say I came all the way out here to hunt mule deer, they might be like, oh man, that's a journey,
Yeah.
go try.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Is there a different if there's a different vibe between archery and rifle hunts too? Like in Iowa, I got a ton of permission back in the day because I said I was a bow hunter, and then the people
mhm.
would just laugh at me and they're like, "Good luck with that," right?
Yeah.
That was early on. That's definitely changed since then. But is
Mhm.
there a do bow hunters get more access than gun hunters or anything like that?
I don't can't think of a specific example where that would be true, but I mean, other than maybe somebody around town or they have buildings or they have livestock, they feel like
Yeah,
maybe there's a little less danger for the animals, if you're not going to be
yeah,
firing a rifle on their property. It could happen.
yeah, yeah. Is there a species out west that's more coveted for example, Utah is like antelope or mule deer, or like some people may say yes to antelope, but hell no to elk.
Yeah, most people around here, like antelope, are the bastard child of Utah. Nobody cares about antelope. I feel like
Okay.
there's guys trying to draw them, but like where I live, if someone has an antelope tag, most of these landowners will let you hunt just because they want them out of their hay anyway. Because they
Yeah.
lay out in the hay. Mule deer are more like I guess esteemed around here because
Okay.
everybody hunts them, and it's a general unit that I live on, so there's a decent chance you can have a tag. It's almost a guaranteed draw for a resident with a bow here.
Yeah.
So everybody's got a grandkid or got a nephew or a buddy that wants to hunt their place. So
Gotcha.
um,
Gotcha.
I think as far as permission goes, and then elk is kind of different because it's a premium draw tag for elk where I live.
Okay.
So people will kind of take that into account and maybe would give you permission because it's so rare to have an elk tag and it's kind of
Yeah.
like a big deal when somebody draws. So maybe they wouldn't let you hunt deer there, but if you have a bull tag and they have a good bull in their place, they might let you shoot it.
Yeah. I I've never had to feel this because in Iowa, my one tag is good for the entire state, right? As a
Yeah.
resident. What's it like as a resident of a state that you can't hunt an animal that you get a tag for in your own unit that you live in? Like you now have to travel for that.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I think that's one of the biggest frustrations of the system that we have.
Hmm.
Because like I can't scout my local deer and hunt them if
Hmm.
I'm not going to draw and apply for that tag. And where I live isn't a particularly great deer unit. So I'm more likely to travel to other units to hunt. And that means I got to travel several hours to scout. Even if I think I'm going to draw the tag. So that it's
Yeah.
a frustration, but it's also something we've been doing our whole lives. So
Yeah.
they split it up to units when I was like 14 or 15 years old. And then they took it to smaller units, several years later. But we've been doing it forever. So I just plan on traveling like I would travel out of state.
Yeah. You're used to it.
Uh,
What's one thing maybe you would say as a resident of a state in the West, and maybe this next how you answer this could be in general to states where there's mule deer and elk and antelope. The reason people east of the Mississippi are traveling west, right? Um, what are some what's some advice that you could share with a non-resident putting that much energy into coming out to hunt a species like mule deer, elk, or antelope?
Um, I think finding somebody who's local, like whether that's at a gas station or something,
Hmm.
is a good step. And just asking somebody, say, "Hey, I'm from out of state. Like, what's a general area where you would go hunt elk or where you would go
Hmm.
hunt deer?" And you might get somebody who says, "Oh, like I don't give up my spots or whatever." But I
Yeah.
think that most people generally would be like, "Oh, there's a bunch of deer on this mountain."
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's a spot they're not going to hunt, but they don't mind sharing a little bit of general information.
Yeah.
Another thing I would do is I would call the biologist. I would talk to the biologist if you're going to come out and hunt. Um, just check in because they have really good tabs and they'll be able to give you good information on where there's at least deer, elk, antelope numbers to start
Yeah.
with. And you can really cut a lot of your scouting down by just getting to a place where at least there's animals. Because Utah is a tricky spot, like especially the desert. I mean, you can have giant sections of ground where there's nothing. Like there's no
Yeah.
deer, there's no elk, there's no antelope. And so if
Yeah.
you can at least eliminate and narrow down to like a higher probability area, you're going to be way ahead.
Yeah. And a biologist would be able to help provide that information, you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you find the biologist that's overseeing the unit you're going to hunt and just say, "Hey, where
Hmm.
should I start?" I
Yeah.
know my buddy's the biologist for this unit. He lives right next door to me, and I know he gets calls all the time from non-residents, and he'll just say, "Yeah, go, to try this mountain range, try this point, maybe glass from here."
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. What about websites? Like I know a lot of guys who go on websites. What's that one? Rock.
Rock
Yeah,
slide.
Rock Slide. Yeah, Rock Slide.
Yeah.
That's one of them. Obviously there's Go Hunt, all these other
Hmm.
where there's forums and people talk about that stuff. How
Hmm.
much weight should a non-resident or someone put into these websites and forums like this?
Well, it's a starting point. Like
Yeah.
that's something I've done for years. Is I'll go on those forum sites and just Google a unit number, and then it'll
Yeah.
pop up 100 old threads about it, and then it'll be
Yeah.
guys, "Oh, I killed a buck here," and that's one of the things I think people complain about is like information sharing. Like
Yeah.
there's going to be other guys that have done it as well, so the spot may be blown out and it may be info from 5 years ago, but it's info.
Yeah.
Um, I scout a lot on Onyx, or I use their draw results and stuff to kind of
Hmm.
target, and I use their 3D mapping, but I don't know, I've never really dove into Go Hunt. I know like uh Chat GPT is
Yeah.
actually a decent resource when it comes down, and
Yeah.
all it's doing is it just accumulates information from the internet and compiles it for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. Because I'm sitting on I think this year, I'm getting a knee surgery in March, so I'm not gonna, it's too late to draw Wyoming, but I'm sitting on like 12. By the time I draw, it'll be like 12 or 13 points for
mhm.
Wyoming elk, and maybe 10 for deer, and even another, and for antelope too. And so I'm gonna go to GPT, and I'm gonna be like, all right, here's what I have. What is the best what would be the best thing to do, and just kind of see what it says, and
Yeah.
pull where it pulls information from.
Yeah, definitely. And I would cross reference it from the other places you can find that information that may be deemed more credible.
Yeah.
But I think that I don't know. The stuff that I've done on there has been, I mean, it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
it's good information.
Yeah. When it comes to maybe somebody coming in for their first hunt ever through obviously if you're serious about bow hunting, you want to be a bow hunter. But if you're not serious about weapon specific, what would, in your opinion, be the positives and negatives of weapons and times of year that someone would come out for their first non-resident hunt on a species like elk, antelope, mule deer?
So archery is always going to be a little less crowded. I mean, there are some exceptions to that. Colorado archery elk obviously got super crowded.
Yeah.
Um, but archery, typically most of your locals are not hunting through midweek, so you can
Right.
get a lot of pressure on the weekends, but you can have a little bit of a lapse in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
So plus you get the nice weather. You're going to be hunting warm temperatures, um, longer seasons typically. So that's the advantage of archery. And then mule deer, same thing. Those deer are very patternable. They're typically bachelor groups through the archery seasons, the early archery in Utah.
Yeah.
the availability of tags. It's a lot easier to draw archery tags as well in the state of Utah. So,
Yeah.
um, when you go to rifle, you deal with a little bit more crowding. Obviously, you have the ability to shoot a rifle a lot farther, so there's that. It's an easier weapon, but um, rifle rifle over the counter elk in Utah is just kind of madness. Like there will be a million people out there. Just plan on that. Plan on not seeing very many elk. It's tough. It's a very low success hunt.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you dedicate more time during archery, you have a better chance of finding elk. So, and then the rifle deer in Utah is kind of the same. It's short season dates. Everybody will hunt. People will take time off work and go hunt the whole week. So you're not going to get like a break from the crowd. You're just going to have
Yeah.
to deal with it, and you're going to have to out hunt them.
Yeah. Okay. That seems very logical. I like that answer. What when it comes to like, because there's certain areas and I'm just using South Dakota for reference when I'm looking for mule deer, where, dude, if you were to just drive down the road, maybe sometimes you'll see them, but more
Uh-huh.
than likely you got to go in a little bit. All right.
Yeah.
What should someone expect? And maybe answer this two ways, one for elk, one for antelope. How far from a trailhead or a road or a parking lot would one expect to travel to get to a glassing point where they can start seeing animals?
Antelope, you drive around, see them off the
Yep.
road.
Yep.
That's just the way they are. And they're out in the flats. So you can drive in glass and just, you'll see all the antelope doing that.
Yep.
Um, I think the first antelope I shot was 200 yards off the side of the road. So,
Yeah.
um, elk on the any bowl units. So Utah has two type of elk units. They have spike only units, which
Okay.
means you can hunt a premium unit for a spike or a cow.
Okay.
And then they have any bowl units, which are valid for any legal bowl. On the any bowl units, they're very pressured. So whether that means they're far from the road or not, it's just wherever they're unpressured, right? I've killed elk
Right.
very close to the road, but because they're in a sneaky little pocket where they're not getting bothered.
Yeah.
But if you want to hunt them on the mountainous terrain, I feel like not uncommon at all to be a couple miles buried in the ugliest timber pocket they can find.
Yeah.
They're just hiding. Their whole life is hiding during the general elk hunt. So
Gotcha.
anywhere that you can get far and away, that's where they're going to be.
Gotcha. So would you say that of all the species there, that elk are the most susceptible to pressure?
I think so. Mule deer are kind of around people a little more. I feel like they
Yeah.
see them driving and they are more likely to go hit the ag. So they're a little more, I don't know, not the big bucks, but just mule deer in general, I feel like are a little more accustomed to humans. Elk stay higher on the mountain through the
Yeah.
summer, and but then they get real dumb when they rut too. So, but I do feel
Yeah.
like the elk on general units, they just hide. They spend their
Yeah.
whole day hiding.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Colorado was like when I went elk hunting there. I felt like elk did not exist where we were
Yeah.
at, but you'd hear one bugle, and it's crazy. The one bugle would come right at a time where you wanted to give up, and then
Uh-huh.
it was literally just a tease is all it was,
Yeah.
because you'd hear it and you're like, yeah, let's go. And then you'd go, and then you wouldn't hear shit. And then you'd walk
Yeah.
back down the mountain. You'd hear another one. You're like, oh, let's go, let's go. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, they tricked the shit out of us those
Yeah.
couple of years. So
Chasing
yeah, dude.
bugles is a rough game on public, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my friend, I love the insight. Thanks for, BSing with us for a little bit here today, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do you, Shed Crazy, right? On Instagram still? Yep.
Yeah.
Shed Crazy on Instagram. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. Yep. Yeah. I
Shed-
think it's Shed Crazy Official or something, but if you search Shed Crazy, it'll pop up.
Yeah. Shed Crazy. Go check out, dude does a lot of really cool things over there on his social media platforms and YouTube. Dude, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to hop on and BS
Sure.
with us for a little bit. And, then we'll have to get you on again sometime.
Yeah, I'd be down for sure. Thanks for having me on.